Hello, one and all, and welcome to the second edition of LRNC. We are here for the first night of racing, here for the second edition of the League Racing Nations Championship. We are here today for the first round of the Champions Bracket. We'll get into the format a little bit later. This is Group D. We are going to have 5 teams in this group, duking it out and trying to advance further along the bracket as we head throughout the event. But the event itself, how does it work? Well, the results from this race are going to determine where all these teams are going to line up in future rounds. To run you through it then, ahead of the next week, we'll run along the format, I'm sure, as we run through this championship. And in summary, from this week, the top 2 teams from this group will advance into the second round of the Champions Bracket, the Champion Route, as you may well want to call it. The third and fourth place teams from this group will go into the best of the rest bracket, and then the fifth place team will go into a head-to-head round to stay in the tournament in the knockout bracket. That is how things are going to run for this event then, and of course that means that the results of this night of racing and where all the teams place is adamant to how their potential lies for the future rounds. But what teams are going to be contesting things here tonight? Well, we have the first team from Poland, the first team from England, the Irish team, the second Malta team, and the first Belgian team that are going to be partaking in this event tonight. Hopefully we get everyone in. We've got 17 drivers in the lobby right now. So hopefully we get the full 20 in and we can get things underway. Just going to also run a bit of a spotter guide for you guys for tonight, because we are using the the standard F1 2020 cars for this event. But to run you through it, the first Polish team are going to be using the Mercedes and the Ferrari as their cars for tonight. The first English team is going to be using the Red Bull and the AlphaTauri, as well as that the Irish team is going to be using the Renault and the McLaren. The Maltese team is going to be using the Racing Point and the Williams. And finally, the Belgian team is going to be using the Alfa Romeo and the Haas. So that's what you need to be looking out for tonight. We are still waiting on a few drivers, so this may well be a little bit late. We are waiting on just a few to get into it. But also, what do we have in store for you guys here tonight? Well, the tracks that we're going to be going through are obviously, as you can see, Belgium, and the second race of the evening will be at Japan, at Suzuka. So keep an eye out for that. That is how things are going to go down for tonight. And my oh my, it is so fascinating as to how things are going to evolve. I guess we can run through the prospects that each team has ahead of this group, because well, obviously these guys, you need to get back into spectator. Quick little blunder there, but we're back onto it. So the top rated team, so essentially the teams are split off into different pools based on a qualifying time trial time that lines them up then and puts them into seeding essentially. And so the top team, so the team from the top pool going in this group is Poland 1, the first Polish team, and you can run it down. We'll see how many of them are in here. We are actually waiting. We have Igoro and Suku, but we're still waiting on the other two from the team. Actually, I think we are just going. I think that's Cookie Games as well, just joining. So we're getting there for Poland. But yes, they are the you could class as the favourites into this group. But England won. Also here, they were a very close second to them in the time trials. Around about over 5 minutes of lap time, they were just a quarter of a second away, and so they're going to be very competitive as well. Ireland seeded third for this group. I think we are missing one of their drivers as it stands there. Oh, let me just check. Yeah, we are still waiting on one of the Irish guy. Actually, no, my mistake there. You can see XO Gary there. So XO Gary, old school, Skivan M Short, that is going to make up their team. Malta 2 is the 4th seed for this group. You can see them all there. You have Meiko, Glanza, Mark, and Haller. I'm pretty much sure I'm butchering all those names, so my deepest apologies. But they are seated fourth. Belgium 1 are also in this group. We are missing a couple of their drivers as well. I think they are actually, as now we actually have the entire list, the entire group of poles into it. So we're just waiting on the last two Belgian drivers to get ourselves into here. They are the fifth seeded group, so the fifth seeded team for this group. So they are going to need to pull out a good performance. We'll see what they can do with it here tonight. We are still waiting, of course, on these guys. Hopefully we're not running too late. I'll keep you a little bit updated on what we've got for now. I'm just looking into the chat. So what we're saying is that one of the Belgian drivers is on the way, and actually the lobby host XL Gary has essentially come out and said we will start no later than 8:05. So that is going to be the last possible time we're going. That's 2 minutes away. So sit tight. We should get proceedings underway very shortly. So if you can remain patient, that would be absolutely brilliant. And so, well, I guess we can just run through. Actually, I don't think we have enough time to run through the entire format. It is rather complicated, but essentially, if you're finishing in the top 2 in your groups every week, then essentially you should have a run at getting yourself into the final. That is what these guys are looking out for. But on top of that, you're also, well, you have the top 5 teams from the tournament are going to find themselves in the Champions final. But in the last week of racing, we're also, as we actually having a lot of live viewers coming in, that's great to see. We're also going to have a best of the rest final between the 6th to 10th ranked teams from those first 3 races, so they're also going to have a chance at a bit of a consolation race and getting a good result out of it. And so we'll see what they can make of that. We should be almost ready to go. In fact, you can see the lobby host XL Gary is readying up, so I think now we're just about to get it underway. We're up to 19 drivers now, so we're only 1 driver down. Not too bad, but it does mean that unfortunately Belgium are at a slight disadvantage in this group. So we'll see how that is going to unfold. Just looking into the chat, then we got some activity. Skiva, I believe, who's racing for Ireland here tonight, says hello, lads. Well, hello to you as well. Best of luck for tonight. We're not quite going. We are actually waiting, as now we've lost the driver who's dipped from the race. I think that is again one of the Belgians. Yeah, so that is we are struggling to get this going. I think we are just going to go. Unfortunately, Belgium are going to be starting this race at something of a disadvantage. Yeah, I guess we can just get this started. So let's go with it. Of course, Belgium gonna be first up. The format, by the way, I should have mentioned earlier, the format for these races is going to be one-shot qualifying and a 25% race times 2, and that is going to be the story for tonight. And simply put, the team that racks up the most points over the night is going to be able to advance to it. As now we begin to load into it, then one-shot qualifying is now gonna be ahead of us. So we'll see what the drivers are able to make of it. Of course, it is an iconic circuit here, Spa. In fact, it is the longest track on the calendar, 7 kilometers in length, and about a 100-second lap or even more. And so it really poses a test for the drivers. It's a hugely iconic circuit, as is the track we're going to have later as well, Suzuka. And so these drivers are really going to have a chance to show off what they're made of around these pure driver circuits, it must be said. And so we'll see how they're able to cope. We're now loading into it. For this one-shot qualifying session, everything now is on the line, and these drivers now going to have to think about the 19 corners and 7 kilometers that make up this Spa circuit. So we'll see how these guys are able to get on. Seems to be a little bit of a weird issue, though. I'm not seeing the drivers on the right hand side of the screen as we usually, but we are going to get into it then. We are going to watch Galanza then and the Williams going up towards turn 1 and on to those brakes. As last source, try to get to the apex on the inside and power out through the exit. Then you're fighting for traction, trying to keep the car alive as now you're back onto the throttle, heading down to erosion and up radio then, keeping the foot absolutely pinned to the floor As now you power as out yet again to the Camel Straight, opening up that DRS, getting up to some of the highest speeds you'll see on the entire track, over 330 kilometers an hour, and then you're back on the brakes, into Lakeholm, into fourth gear, holding it for fourth, down the second part of the corner, turn 6, then swinging through Malmedy, Krekel, to carry speed through the exit, and we're already seeing retirement there. That's Nabil out of the way here in qualifying now, then to the second gear, short shift to third, heading through Ravage, and out into the corner with no name, opening up the exit, onto the outside, and then powering down again into the iconic pull-on corner. Slight dab on the brakes, actually just a slight left on the end for these cars, having tremendous amount of downforce to keep you on the track and keep you stuck to the road. You're onto the brakes, into the medium speed Fania complex in, and the fifth gear, holding it through fifth, then running it out to the outside curve and using as much of the track as physically possible through Campbell's corner, holding it nicely in fourth gear, now up the gears, heading through Campbell Frere, and it's absolutely flat out again, the downforce. You got to trust in it, you got to keep your foot pinned to the floor. We'll see how this session is going to fall now as we reach the final stages here in qualifying. As you can see, we're watching Glanza. He's done a decent enough session so far. Now into the final few corners, clipping the apex of the inside. On the bus stop, came a bit of a mistake from Glanza. He's going to draw back to the line. It's going to be Sugar on pole position. An emphatic 141.2. And he goes to the top. I think it may have been M Short alongside him on that front row. But that was it then for qualifying. We'll have a little rundown through the results. So yes, it was M Short representing Ireland who joined him alongside then. Then it's the two Englishmen of Slash and Lando. On the second row, they had a solid enough qualifying there as well. Iguro in that fifth position. So it's actually Poland and England, the two favourites going in. They are sharing most of the front spots on the grid there. Glada is sixth there, the top Maltese driver from Ryan, the third English driver in seventh. Michael lines up 8th position, 2 Maltese drivers inside the top 8 from Oyos, 9th, and Old School rounding out the top 10. Outside the top 10 with free choices tire is going to be Gary, Haller, Mark, Mivako, Nolan, Cookie Games, Skivan, and Nabil, the latter three unable to set lap times for the race, which now we are going to be going into 25% around Spa. It is 11 laps. And with strategy going to be so key around here, of course. The tire degradation, relatively low around here. And so they will have that available to them. They will be able to maybe go for some alternate strategies. But generally you're encouraged to stay on the soft tires for as long as possible around here. Because of how low that tire deg is, because we're in a 25% race. You will be able to get away with it. Let's have a quick look, see if we've got anything going on in the chat. Thank you all very much for tuning in so far. We've got some support. We've got some support for Ireland. We've got some support for Poland in the chat. We'll see what these guys are able to pull off. Remember, no team is going to be eliminated tonight. But once everything is tallied up with the points, we're going to see 2 teams moving into the champions bracket for the next race. 2 teams into the best of the rest, and 1 team into the knockout bracket, where their position in the tournament will be put under some threat. And so we'll see how that's going to unfold. We'll also run you through the point system for this event. Every team, every driver is going to be scoring points in this race. Running down, it is 30 points for the win, 26 for second place, 24 for P3, 22 for fourth, 20 for fifth, 18 for 6th, 16 for 7, 14 for 8th, 12 for 9th, and then it just runs down 11, 10, 9, so on until 1 point for last position. Nolan and Mivako have actually gone off already in this qualifying session, so I think we may well have had a little bit of contact down there, and they're going to be starting on cold tyres. But speaking of tyres, let's see what these guys are opting for in terms of their strategy. So we've got a bit of a mix-up outside of the top 10. So we have Gary, Mark, Mivako, Cookie, and Skivan on the medium tyre, while you've got Haller, Nolan, and Nabil on the soft compound of tyres. So they're going to look to make progress early in the race, but expect maybe some of the medium runners actually to pit in earlier than you'd be expecting, and some of the soft runners maybe to stay out a bit longer. We'll see how it plays out, but even the soft runners will be looking to get that all-important undercut, trying to propel them up the order. But it is Suku on that pole position. M Short / Orlando, your top four, those first two rows, will be battling all the way down there because, of course, from last source down to Lake Ob, it is absolutely flat out. A big slipstreaming opportunity going down that Kemmel Straight. I'm going to have a quick drink because I think I'm going to need this because this race should be electric. And you can see now, Suku leading him out. Wonder what M Short's going to play on this start. He's sitting back actually, maybe trying to hold back some of the cars behind him. Ireland, besides M Short, didn't have a particularly strong qualifying session. You have Gary and Skivan in the lower half of the field, so they're going to look to try and fight back later on. So we'll see what they can make of that. There's certainly no team that stands out, but of course Belgium are going to struggle realistically, only having two drivers here, but the rest of the teams certainly looking very, very evenly matched, and that is going to make for some entertaining racing out there, and it's racing we're about to get treated to as Suku lays to the front of the grid. M Short will settle alongside him, and that's going to be the battle throughout not only turn one, but the entire first sector. They're going to be going at it and hunting for that race lead. As now the rear of the grid will settle. Group D and LRNC about to get underway. And so the moment of truth has finally arrived. Who's gonna get the best start for the front of the grid? We're about to find out as we're bending up to it. We are 5 lights. The first race of the evening here in Group D in Spa. Who's got the best start for the front? Suku leading away to turn one. He's got M Short running wide around the outside. He's got pressure from Slash on the inside line. AlphaTauri gets up and alongside him. Heading out last source. Now they're barreling down on the exit. But Suku maintains the lead and M Short going with him. You can see Slash and Lando running formation behind it. And then further back, side by side through Radion between Michael and Ryan. They just about managed to keep it clean up at the front of the grid. Now it all kicks off. Look at Slash going down the inside, making 3 abreast for the lead. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers here. It's Suga that backs off round the outside. M Short goes straight through into the race lead, and Slash regains that second place. So Suga dropping back. What a move from M Short though. He went straight around the outside and claims it and shoots clear in this opening lap. Now they head down out through Ravage. Further back there, Ryan Michael's still going at it. Ryan gets in front, going it through turn 9 and emerges himself in front of the Racing Point. They're representing Malta. You can see them all slipping into line, but M Short still leading the way. And now they all forming through that, heading towards Lefania. Moves further back there. You can see Gary running around the outside, and that's some Team Orders. They're old school backed off, and now he's got Oilos running outside. Gets running a road, and that's the sail back. There's further back Cookie going round, and then Cookie for Poland has gone off there, going down to Lefania. Hallis, also went off further down the background. So those two have had disaster on the first lap and are a long way off the back of the field, but M Short powering away in this early stage. It looks comfortable up at the head of the field, so we'll see if there's any moves. Shaping up further back there. Rise still having to hold back. Medical, these two have had decent starts. As now it all seems to settle down at this early point. As I say that, we go battling there. Nolan and there's Mivago making contact with Skaven there. Nami also trying to move on the inside leg. Couldn't quite get through, so they're all jostling back there and searching for any possible way through as we now get ourselves up on to the second lap. And so we'll see how this is going to all unfold. You can see the gaps actually up near the front of the grid. I think we are seeing a bit of a timing glitch then, so it's a bit hard to keep up with it. But we're going to see them now evolving. No DRS just yet. That's for the next lap. And then the drivers can all go at it and jostle for position. You can see the timing and sorting themselves out, but certainly Haller went into the pit lane. We saw that contact Cookie in as well. Hard to ask for Cookie. He's going to the end. Haller might have a chance of that as well. We'll see if he can try and drive those stars to the end of the race, keep them on the island. M Short leads Slash. Suku, the pole setter, struggling a little bit in third place, but he has got his teammate Iguro to back him up. So it's Arlie leading. It's further down. That's Michael going off the turn 9. Michael off the road on the grass, and it's dropping back straight through the field, and now runs to the back of the grid. Oh, Michael, that is disastrous. He's got wing damage as well. I'm not sure if there was contact down there, or if the Maltese has just lost it on his own, but that's hugely suffering. And now he's going to drop back then. So it's disaster for Malta, really, in the opening 2 laps, because now they have 2 of their drivers well down the order. Poland's not the best start either, but they do have the other 3 drivers besides Cookie inside that top 10 and looking to make good progress of it. We're still having an update on the race leaders. M Short looks comfortable up at the front, and he did out-qualify Slash, so you sense he might have a little bit more pace. He's pushing forward, and Slash actually going in very early, and he makes contact with the pit wall, going into the pit lane. I'm not sure if he's picked up damage from that, but that's certainly compromising him either way, and thwarting potentially that undercut attempt behind him. Michael's the other car, right, obviously with that wing damage, but that is a curiously early pit stop from Slash, and that mistake holding back Skivo now on the move. He gets past Mivako and is charging through now. He is the 3rd highest of the media runners. Gary by far the highest. He's had a superb start, and those are going to get up to the race leaders in front. Got a lot of progress to make. We'll see if he can make it further down to the field there. You got Mark on the defensive as Nolan up to the outside line, looking to get alongside there. Can he run the long way round the lane? Cobb gets his nose in front. He runs back down the inside. Goes the Racing Point, who almost loses it through turn 6. Just about holds on to it. Further back there, Mivako got the move done back on Skivan. Skivan had to get out of that. He's looking back into reverse to the inside line, bringing very lazy running off the road. He runs out wide and screaming back underneath. Goes the Alfa Romeo, they're battling it out. Julian at turn 9, but Skivan will get the upper hand and keep a hold of that 12th place, and then he's trying to hold back those 2 Alfa Romeos behind him then, searching for any way through for Team Belgium, doing everything they can, but they're going side by side again. We're seeing team orders here. Yes, we are then. Now Bale goes through on the softs. He's going to look to try and use that extra grip to push himself forwards. Now, 3rd lap, almost down and up at the front then, as we saw Slash coming in early. M Short has established himself. He has got a pretty strong lead out there on the track. For the moment, we'll see what he can make of it then. Is he going to dive into the pit lane, maybe cover off Slash? He's going to stay out. Does Suku go in? Yes, he is. So the pole going for that undercut. His teammate will stay out and try and chase down Lando, who is now isolated. He does hit the fastest lap of the race, however, but he is going to be under threat from behind as they go into last source for the 4th time in the race, and it's a busy pit lane down there. We got Suku, Old School, Oilson, Nolan all into the lane, and they're going to get some fresh medium tires on that will take them to the end. And where are these guys going to emerge relative to MMA Slash, who is coming down the pit lane now, the pit straight I should say. He's going to lose out. You can see how much ground that he is faded going throughout that pit exit. He's going to be behind Old School, maybe behind Ios. He's going to just about get the jump as Lando gets a time penalty. That's early to get it. And Lando now really struggling, and that's going to set back England. 2 of their front-running drivers have made mistakes in the early part of this race. They've got to try and recover then, because they all of a sudden their race not looking quite as strong now, and it's Ireland that have really benefited there. Old School getting that jump on Slash and maintaining spot up in front, but Suku is well ahead. Now we'll see if he can try and stretch his advantage throughout that undercut, try and keep that advantage over the cars that he was trying to chase down. M Short, can he get up to him? M Short is still pushing incredibly hard out there, I'm sure, trying to get through, but he's actually been a little bit slower than Lando, who's just about reeled him in from behind. He's dragging a Guru right, and Glancha, oh, right with him. And so M Short surely he's going to have to come in this lap. He's burnt a lot of his ERS. Is now in the pit lane, in the race. Nabil's gone off there, heading to curb ball Frere. He must have spun out of Campbell's corner, and you can see the obstruction in the roadway. That's going to hold back all these guys. As you can see, Old School Slash trying to avoid the stricken Alfa Romeo in there. Who's up at the front. We do have a very busy pit lane in there now. So M Short, Lando, Igoro, Ryan, all in there. Glad stays out. Gary and so Gary will try and make that order strategy work, but how is the order going to shape it up? As actually Ryan has opted for a set of hard tires, a peculiar strategy, and now he's going to have Suku right behind him. Suku now, he's jumped 1, he's jumped 2, he might get M Short as well. The undercut is going to paint dividends here. No, M Short will hold on, and actually Lando almost out ahead, but it's not quite to be, and Suku will get himself in front, and he does have DRS as Nabil's about the session. He won't perform in that 3rd race now. Skivak continuing to charge. He moves past V Mark down there into the first corner on the lap. Then you can see as well these guys trying to break the slipstream, moving left and right, trying to get themselves out of the toe. But Suku is with him short. He's not going to get broken. It's Slash now cruises past Old School on his recovery drive. He's now moving up, and how much is that pit lane error going to cost him and England? in the grand scheme of things. Here at Spa, we're not far away from the halfway point now. In this first race of Group Z, and now Slash moving forward, we'll see if he can continue to push forward. Then he has got XL Ryan to chase down on those hard tyres. Not exactly sure why Ryan opted for them. You can run a soft to medium strategy very easily here, and so I'm not exactly sure as to where the logic was in that. We're looking to the front there. Gladza, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders if he wants to try and carry his team forward in this race as it stands in. V Mark's in a decent position, but aside from that, Malta have not had the best showing. Michael's also trying to get up there as well, but into the pit lane. Gladza is going to go in a last. Cautious on that pit entry. Guy will follow him in, so you can see that early pit stop from a medium. He will inherit the race lead and move to the front. Look at this though, Suku is right there with M Short. M Short has burnt through a load of his ERS. Fastest lap for the pole center, and he is charging through. And now as a run, Poland are really coming strongly in this race. But look at this, their Lando's right with the Minogoro. Not far behind as well, but Poland have got a really good stranglehold on this leading fight. Now, heading up Radio, that's the lead, or the net lead, get a change hands there as they power down the cable straight. Lando's right there though, challenging the Ferrari, getting up to him, going to the inside line, and Suku's going to get boxed in here. He's got nowhere to go. It's Gladson out of the race. Heading up Radio, down the inside, Lanzo forces his way through and gets up in 5th place. Brilliant from Lanzo, and he's upset Suku's run and M Short's race lead. Lando moves up. Can he inherit that net race lead and make as much ground as he can with that penalty still to his name? But Lanzo going out then. Maybe there was contact down there, maybe he just lost it on his own, but he is out of the way. That also really holds back the chances now of Malta. Malta and Belgium have had a really rough time of it so far with 2 cars out of the race. A ski van race leader gets himself a penalty, and he's in a close midfield fight on net position. He's going to be making places, and he really doesn't need a penalty like that. So that's a setback for ski van and for Ireland. And they're going to have to try and run their way back in this race. Still though, M Short holding firm at the front then. He's led this race from the first lap with that incredible manoeuvre he made. Straight around the outside of Lake Home. It was a stunner, and now he's looking at pool clearance. Now we're going to have pit stops in yet again. Skivan in, Marker behind him then. Mivako stays out, and that's going to hold back some of the race leaders, chasing him down then. From behind at the moment, it's a runaway group of 4 cars. Stretching clear at the front, 1 Irishman, 1 Englishman, and 2 Poles in that group as well. Now, we're going to see where the soft runners now are going to emerge. Gary is now caught up to the back of Slash. Gary could be up for a really strong result here and back up M Short's good showing as well in this race. But M Short himself is going to be under pressure because look at XL Lando. He's reeled him in. He's running round the outside, giving almost no space right to the grass, but he's going to get through. XL Lando up in a 2nd place. Brilliant stuff, and now he moves forward. Now Gary's running round the outside of Slash. Slash has no reply. Straight through. Gary up in a 7th will become 6th with Mavako's pit stop, and he's going to continue to charge. Has Ryan right in front of him. And on those hard tires, you sense that the Englishman isn't going to offer much resistance, much defence. Further down the field, Skivan emerged. He's just behind his teammate Old School, who will surely jump aside then. And so Ireland look to be having 4 drivers inside the top line of the field. Ireland have had a really good race so far, and as it stands, they're on for a really good haul of points to take them forward into the 2nd round at Suzuka. We're into the 2nd half of this race. Cookie at the back of the field with a penalty to compound woes for Cookie Games and for Poland. They've had a miserable time of it at the back of the field, but the rest of Poland faring rather better. Suko, Iguru, Oyos all running relatively far up the field as well. And so they can really get a good haul of points to see if Oyos can try and hold back Old School, hold back Skivan with that penalty, who is also flying. And now, as Mivako dives to the pit lane, that's going to essentially set out the net order in this race, as Lando is absolutely flying. Look at this pace, he's got more ERS to use. And Lando trying to charge clear. Is he going to break that DRS? This gives him a fighting chance in the race. But M Short knows the danger of losing that race. Get back within it, and he can defend from Suko in behind. behind. Further back, you can see the order now beginning to shake up there. Gary dragging Slash up to the back of Ryan. Ryan will surely fight Gary, but not so much Slash. Then Gary looking left and right and finally finds the run down the left-hand side round the outside of Camel. Now to the straight. Pulls into the slipstream with the DRS carrying him alongside and through. XL Gary. Now up in a fifth place, but he's got an awful lot of ground to make up. On to the top four. Further back, Nolan cruises through on V Mark. He makes progress now. Up into 11th, but getting within range of Skivan ahead. Going to be so difficult now. Skivan up behind Old School. You sense that Old School is not going to fight this one too hard before really Seaman falling fell to team orders, letting his teammate through behind. And I sense that Skivan now is going to get the wave through as he sets up behind the Renault. There he goes, the Old School to the inside. Skivan will run straight through a pull and getting himself up into 9th place. Has the Moyos laid up in his sights. What a race this has been so far for Ireland. They have been so strong and they're still looking at a potential race victory, but it is still very much up in the air. The two pools of Soko and Iguru are still looking to put on that threat and apply that pressure and look for a way through out there on the circuit. But as long as M Short can stay with Lando, he's safe, but he's running very low in the LRS as Mivago now with a penalty as well to hold his chances back. In Belgium again, really struggling out there. They've just not had a good showing, not had a good time of it out there on the track. They didn't come into this as favourites, and I suspect they're going to struggle to get out of that knockout bracket as it stands after this race. We're still running in line up at the front of the grid, and M Short again is pushing you, straining everything to just hold on to that DRS. But with such a small amount of factory to his name, holding off Suga behind is going to be immensely difficult, surely. Further back in the field, Skivan now has Oyos all lined up there. Renault and Mercedes, Irishman on pole, and now an overtake with DRS. Oyos knows not to find it, and knows better, and straight down the inside line. Through goes Skivan, up in to that 8th place, and now 3 Irishmen in the top 8, and every single one of them in the top 10. What a showing is now Nolan losing out. He's running round here, so the big back on there. He squeezes him out. Nolan swamped there by the 2 stop runners. Through goes Mark, and through goes Mivaco. Up now into 11th and 12th, and trying maybe to relight the cars in front, but that is going to be a great difficulty. We'll see if they can make anything of it. Still watching Ryan holding back Slash with no interest as it stands, seemingly, of getting through on his teammate. He looks content to just sit him behind and bide his time until the manoeuvre is going to come through. So you can see the leader then. Lando still leads the way then. Sukuru looking ever threatening. He saved his ERS so well that Suku has such an upper hand now in that spiral, and he has M Short lined up. And is he waiting until the last 2 laps to make that manoeuvre? M Short locking up. The pressure mounting ever higher on the McLaren. Can Poland squeeze a 1-2 out of this? It is definitely possible with the race management they've been showing, but Igoro is struggling to hang on now, and Suku's breaking from behind. Maybe he'll have to back off, but look at this. M Short under such immense pressure. Can he stay in that DRS range? Oh, Lando will just about manage it, but surely it's futile to defend, because now Suku and the Ferrari has them all set up now for the move. He's going to run to the outside. They're carefully squeezed onto the grass by M Short, then who gives him almost no space, but the Ferrari with the momentum, with the DRS. He was put under such pressure, but now he gets to it. Suku up in a 2nd place, and a net lead with just under 2 laps to go. Poland coming to the fore in this race. Can M Short fight back? Can Igoro get involved in this? Suku, with that monopoly of ERS, looks so confident up in the front, but down Mivago moves past on V Mark, gets himself up into 11th place for Belgium, and demoting the Maltese driver. Malta in the end have had a really tough day. As it stands out there, cooking with fastest lap will be something of a consolation, but my oh my, he is at a difficult race. Looks like it's all beginning to settle down in this midfield. Skivan's going to have a late look late in the day. He's trying to break Isles from behind, so he's going to look to try maybe make these overtakes. Then Slash and Ryan as Michael gets a penalty further down the field, again compounding the woes of Malta in this race. This race in the end has been utterly dominated by England, Ireland and Poland. The 3 teams that came into this seeded strongly. They are going to be up the front of the grid, and we'll see which way these are going to go then. Haller as well with a penalty. Again further down the field. Not going to make much difference though to the point scoring. Looks like he's fairly set for that 15th place. Now the last lap underway, and Suku is breaking clear of M Short, and now he's going to have a pop at Lando, maybe for the win out on track. He knows he has no penalties, but the pole is going to fight for it anyway. Why doesn't he? He's got the ERS to use, and he's chasing down the leading Alpha turret. ERS now to his name as he closes down. Lando to the middle of the track. It is futile to keep him behind. Through goes the Ferrari. From pole, he lost out at the start, but he is fought back in spectacular fashion, and Suku now leads on the final lap. It just has to avoid penalties, and he has the race win in hand. Slash will move past his teammate Ryan. These guys are still battling out there on the road. Slash will get moved on in Oyos now, battling with Skivan. Skivan dropping back, then Skivan's off entirely, Colm, and he drops back with that penalty, going to cost him dearly. And now Nevako and V-Mark are chasing him down from behind and right on the back of him now. So Skivan, a critical error. Maybe there was contact down there, but Skivan going off. He's still maybe over top 10 if he can produce a miracle last lap. But those tires surely running out of grip then. Nevako with a penalty. That's going to drop him back at least 2 places in this race. We're looking to the front now as Suku drawing clear. What an emphatic showing this has been. He is cruising to the front. Look for the back though. As M Short, is he going late on the day of Lando? He doesn't need to. He's got the position anyway, but he's still looking forward into Blanchimont. Right up behind and going to the outside into the bus stop. You're getting nothing to choose between them on the brakes. M Short running round the outside. Gets caught up and over the front. Suku recovers and he's going to claim victory here at Spa. Brilliant from Suku. Second place will go to M Short. Third to Igoro, a Polish double podium. What a race from those two. Absolutely crushing performance up at the front of the grid. Gary though does cross fifth. Slash and Ryan sixth and seventh. Oyos P8. Old School P9. Skivan on the run to the line gives it up then, but he does actually hold on to that 10th position at the end. Nolan was 11th. Didn't quite get the chance to run through at those final few results, but what a race to kick things off here in the first race at Spa. Skivan gets driver of the day, but I don't think he'll be happy with pretty much anything else that went on during that Grand Prix. And so that is it then. You can see Suku, he will celebrate that podium up at the front. Absolutely stellar drive. And now he's going to look to try and convert that maybe into Suzuka. We'll see if he can convert those fortunes. And all in all, I think the points, there's not going to be much separating Poland, Ireland and England. It's all to play for. But in the end, one of those 3 teams is not going to make it into the champion route. They're going to have to face that middle of the road best of the rest route. But running through the results, Suka wins it, M Short second place, Igoro third then. Double podium for Poland. Absolutely stellar start to their campaign. Lando, a penalty held him back in the end and seriously restricted England's hopes, but England backed up by Slash and Ryan as well inside that top 7. Good result though for Gary as well. 2 Irishmen in the top 5, 2 Poles. They dominated the front of the grid in that race. As you can see running through it then, Oyos was P8 again, 3 Poles inside the top 8, and Old School and Skivan round out an all-Irish top 10. They all were right up the front of the grid. Nolan is 11 for V-Mark, Michael 12th and 13th, Mivako 14th, Howler 15th, Cookie 16th, and then not seeing out the checker flag was Glanza and Nabil. That was it for the first race of the evening. Suzuka's up next. I'm going to have a quick drink break and then we'll be back covering through the final race of the evening. Let's get into it in just a few seconds time. And so here we are in the lobby, ready to go for the second race of the evening. And already the drivers are readying up. We're down to just 16 in the lobby. We had a couple leaving us, I believe, from that last race. I don't know why Monsieur here is in the lobby, because we already have other Polish drivers. Or are we seeing actually, I believe what it might be is a swap in between races then. And so Poland are going to run that then and swap out drivers in between races. I'm not exactly actually sure on the rules on that. There may be a bit of cloudiness there. We'll see how that is going to unfold. But Poland appear to be putting a driver swap forward. I'm going to look for clarity on that and make sure that they are they're fine to do that. So I'm a little bit confused with that, but we can, I suppose we can still progress throughout it. I'm assuming that that's fine to do, so we can just ignore that and get into the racing we're about to see in just a few seconds' time. It's going to be the same format: one-shot qualifying session, 25% race distance. And so, with the first race out the way, the second one now ahead of us. How do we reckon the points are looking? Well, if I were to say anyone, Poland did have a lot of drivers up in that top 10. Then you of course had Suku, Igoro, Oyos. They were all right at the front of the grid. But Cookie also had a rather disastrous race. Ireland had a lot more consistency in their results, and England had a decent enough showing themselves as well. And so I think it's going to be very close in the points. I don't expect there's going to be much in it, and this race could really shake things up. What I can say with relative confidence is that Malta, I think, in fact, Malta will definitely be in 4th position with Belgium, with only 2 drivers showing up, of course, tonight, and one of them, I believe, is left with 5th place as it stands and headed, I suspect, for that knockout route. We'll see if it's going to get turned around at any point as we now get ourselves prepared for what is going to be the second and final race of the evening. I've actually just checked the stream and we have a rather large amount of dislikes. I'm not actually sure why that is the case. Are you not happy with the performance on my part? I'm terribly sorry if that's the case, but we can now get into it. That's rather baffling. I'm not exactly sure why that's happened, but we can now focus on the racing at hand now ahead of us for the Suzuka round. So let's see how this is going to unfold. We're now getting ourselves loaded in, and here we are now, ready for the race. And so we now have just 17 drivers ready to take on this circuit. It is, of course, Suzuka, one of the most historic tracks on the entire F1 calendar, and probably one of the most popular as well. Everyone loves to drive it, maybe not so much to race around it, but certainly hot lapping around here is a real special thing for drivers to partake in. So let's get ourselves lined up for it then. We're just waiting for the last few drivers to ready up, and then we can get things all kicked off for the race. We're on board with Gladys. I believe yet again in this qualifying session we can cut to someone else. Watch Nolan for this lap in the Red Bull now, barreling down towards the first corner. Now on the brakes, late braking zone, open up that turn 2 and get it early on the throttle as you can, running to the outside, but Nolan invalidates that run, so we'll cut up elsewhere and look to M Short. Navigating his way around this circuit through the S-curves now into Dunlop curve. Yeah, you're holding it at half throttle now, straight onto the throttle, powering through, and now heading into the second sector, into the Degna curves then. Much commitment as you can, go through Degna 1, now through Degna 2, rides out the session altogether, disconnecting England, really crumbling so far in this qualifying session. Can the rest of their drivers make up for it? Now on the traction, powering out of the hairpin, and now through 200R, keeping it tight to the inside line, try and maximise that speed. Ski Man's out the session as well, and so we're seeing a lot of drivers faltering and falling foul in this second qualifying, the one-shot qualifying, as now we exit spin curve, punching out with as much momentum as you possibly dare. And now heading into the famed 130R corner. It is absolutely flat out of modern F1 cars, no issue, and now heading towards the line. And let's see how this is going to unfold then. Heading through the final turns at the Casio Triangle at the chicane, powering out then and to the line. And it looks like we're going to have a Polish 1, 2, 3 emphatic from that trio who are going to run up the front of the grid. Brilliant from those three, and what a showing they have just had. And so we're qualifying now out the way. Look at that, QleenVigor dominant at the front of the grid. M Short and Michael trying to break up that formation, but Mashi is now in that sixth position. Wow, Poland have really come alive in this qualifying. Gary is P7 from Landaway, Haller 9 and Old School again, 10th in qualifying. Glanza is 11 from MMA Slash in 12th place, Mivako 13th, Mark 14th, Nolan, Ryan, Skiva not getting lap times on the board, and England have had a really tough showing of it there. Poland though, what emphatic dominance. That is simply superb from Poland, and we'll see if they can try and convert that into some results. And so we now load in to the race. Gonna have a quick drink break as well before this, because I suspect this one may well take it out of me. We'll see how it's going to unfold, but yes, Poland up the front. Can anyone stop that phenomenal team? Right, let's get everything lined up then. We've got the last race of the evening. Hopefully everyone's been enjoying it, in spite of the dislikes, which I'll be honest, have actually hurt my self-esteem a little bit. But anyway, we will get this party started for the second race of the evening, Suzuka. Suzuka, of course, a track, unlike Belgium, it's not characterised for close wheel-to-wheel racing and slipstream trains. It's mainly just a driver's circuit that relies on pure pace rather than racecraft and coming out on top here. But of course, you don't want to be making mistakes. Consistency, as always, is key around here. As Ryan does get himself back inside the session, hopefully we are going to get him taking control of his car and giving England a half chance, because I think there's a solid chance after that qualifying session that we could be seeing Ireland taking that second spot. Based on qualifying alone, of course, the order can change dramatically in a race here. But based on this, I'd say that Poland have to be the favourite to progress, with Ireland a second favourite. England second sees a third favourite. They're going to have to try and respond a little bit stronger in this second and final race. 13 laps is going to separate these guys from their final positions, and this is how everything lines up. Everyone outside the top 10 has opted for those medium tyres, and I suspect the only reason Ryan isn't on them is because he didn't have control of his car, didn't have a chance to set that strategy. He's out the session again as Ryan. I think his connection has unfortunately let go here, and that's really going to hinder the English team. They're now a driver down, and you sense now their chances of getting top two are really up against them now. We'll see if they can try and recover going throughout this race, but you sense that it's going to be, again, he gets in, but I don't think he's going to get control of his car by the time we get round to the grid, which will be very shortly. Suku has been on fire tonight, has looked absolutely dominant, and now has two teammates to back him up. And really only M Short and Michael are going to have a strong opposition off the start to this phenomenal Polish team, who have set themselves out as surely one of the favourites for this tournament in the long run, because they have looked, in fact, it wasn't perfect in that first race, but this second race, so far, there's a long way ahead of us, but as it stands, they have looked on complete and utter form. And let's see if they convert that qualifying into a top level race. So QleenVigor, your top three. M Short, the leading threat from the second row. Can he break up these poles? They are so emphatic at the front. We'll see if they can run that. It's a relatively short one in turn one, but you need a good start to convert it. So Suzuka, your front row is now, the grid is settled, and we have race to Suzuka about to get underway now, as we have it all lined up for the second race. We have 5 lights. And we're away for the second race at Japan. You can see a lot of jostling in the background from the front of the grid. Looks like the top 3 are going to remain as 3. They enter the lead. Suku running away Ace and Agoro is going to expose himself to attack. He runs round Ace and Cookie, holds it back and round the outside. Through goes to go right to second place. Cookie holding back M Short, who couldn't get through and is now on the back of the pole, swimming throughout the S's, but is still holding order up at the front of the race. Further down the field, we got Lando and Gary going out in a Dunlop curb side by side, but Lando sweeps round the outside and gets through. He's carrying England. Can he make the most of it? Now, Gary under pressure from a great start from Ivaco on medium tires. He's charging through on this start up to 9th place already. Further down the field, Skivan's dropping back, then he's side by side. Now with Haller on the inside line into the air, but will hold on to it with Loreno. But he's not at the start he wanted. It's far down the field, Mavako going round. And D-Mark dropping back as well. Mavako, oh dear. Right to the rear of the field, up the field, then you can see the battling. He's shaping up yet again, right on the ascension, going down here to the V-Mark, who runs right outside, goes wide, and is going to rejoin side by side, but Oroguinola gets forced off the track by the Red Bull, and now Skivan looking through the action. It is electric lower down in the field, but Skivan gets to a V-Mark, who's slipping back now in the field for Malta. Malta can have a really tough night now, I suspect, getting into that champion's route for the second round. But look at Ryan, he's rounding out a Glanza on the eggs and on the Casio triangle, still side by side, nothing to choose between them. Ryan getting run out route by Glanza, the big contact again down the straight, but Ryan running round the outside. Haley wants the first corner, they are locked together, parallel. It's all down to the first corner, sweeping round this contact, and red goes to Williams, away goes to Red Bull, and massively compromising both their races. Ryan with damage, oh no. That is so unfortunate for XL Ryan, who drops well back down the field as well. Oh, you have to feel for the pair of them then. The incident just, I think that was a little bit of understeer there for Haller, and now he's just emerging. In fact, I think that was Glanza who came together, and now down the back of the field, even behind Ryan. Those two, their races have been massively set and thrown up in the air, but look at this further back to the top two pulling clear then. Suga Negoro, who've been looking at a double podium for both races. Those two have been on absolute tip-top shape here tonight. We'll see if they can keep that momentum, keep that charge sustained, heading throughout that second race of the evening, with Suga Negoro still leading the way and pulling clear as Cookie maybe acting as a bit of a rear gunner in third place, with M Short trying to get up to him further back in the field. We've got Machiage as well challenging, and he's got Lando for company behind as well, looking to try and get away through for AlphaTauri and for England, but can't quite get through, as now Suga pulling clear, half a second in the front with Negoro going with him. That's the story at the front of the grid, and now it's Suzuka. You're seeing these guys all settling in as Ryan, with that damage, into the pit lane. He might grab a fastest lap, but my oh my, his race has really been thrown out the window. Medium's going on, he can try and get those to the end, maybe a super undercut, but he's going to really struggle then. Haller coming around, I think is going to jump him as well then, as he get emerges from the pit lane, does Ryan. He's going to be out last position. Haller moves up, he might not be able to make a pit stop, he might not have to make a pit stop, I should say, so he might actually thrust himself into the limelight. We'll see how long these mediums are going to last. V-Mark off a Dunlop car and dropping back, so there's another mistake for V-Mark, and now Malta, with the exception of Michael, having a torrid time out there on the circuit. As it stands, they've had utter misery out there on the track. Look though at Agoro, pulling away from Cookie Games, who's under pressure now from M Short in behind. He's right up behind him as the Irishman. Can he find a way through? He's on the overtake. He's going to try and punch towards the Mercedes, but I think he's going to run out of room before 130R. He's chasing him down all the way, but he is simply too far back. Heading into 130R, he has him lined up, going to the outside of the Casio triangle. They are side by side, and M Short going through, and Cookie allows it. He's maybe looking for DRS on the exit to try and strike back. He will have DRS to his name. Back in the overtake, and Cookie trying to fight back. They've got pit stops further down the field for Lando and Gary, but look now at Cookie Games. Can he run round the outside of turn one versus M Short? He covers the inside line. Can Cookie sweep round the outside? No contact, and he's forced out wide. Michael can't get alongside, but M Short, with a brilliant move, a brilliant defence, gets up onto the podium, and it's the same top three for both races. Those three have looked dominant, but a different order there, with Agoro being emphatic up at the front of the field. As now we got out of the pit lane, Lando actually jumping Gary. Actually, I believe he was in front anyway after the start, but Gary Now behind him, and now Lando looking to try and grab an undercut then, but these guys are not that far in front of Haller, so this is what I mean. Haller with that first lap pit stop could be throwing himself into a decent position. It's now Mivako with a penalty, and that just sums up Belgium's evening. Looks like they're not going to get very many points away. Just down on drivers, unfortunately, and not having that chance really to rack up more of the points. So update on the top two then. Tsuko and Igoro still pushing hard at the front to move it clear. And as it stands right now, doesn't look like M Short, Cookie or the rest of the field are going to be able to get up towards them anytime soon, as they're all just holding in formation. But you can see these two Ferraris just look imperious at the front of the grid. And now they emerge round. I suspect we're going to see a busy pit lane on this lap. Then into the pit, Tsuko. Of course, Igoro is forced to stay out. M Short looking at grabbing onto Kana, Cookie in behind as well. Then in behind Michael. Of course, Mushy is house to stay as well. Then out wide as well. We're seeing MMA Slash staying out on those medium tires. And he's the leading medium runner as it stands. Now out the pit lane. Tsuko is clear. And now Mivako moving past as well, so these guys all dropping back. Where is actually, we're going to look for Lando and Gary. On this undercut now as they emerge, you're going to see a queue of cars now coming out on the right hand side of the track. Then Lando may jump them all. He's going to be side by side with M Short almost in a turn one. Can't dive it down the inside, but Lando gets the jump on Cookie Games. And now he is welcome up into the net, top four. Lando coming through, and again it's those four now who are really establishing themselves at the front of the grid for Poland, for England and for Ireland. In the early stages, there's still a long way to go. Cookie will be in behind with fresher tires trying to fight back, and Michael. Gary's undercut not working quite as well. He's now at the back of the train, staring at the rear leg of the Racing Point just as he was before. Wasn't able to close the gap throughout that outlap and has to sit in behind still just for the time being. Powering out of the hairpin, there was a mistake from Cookie up the road, then gathers it back up, and he's storming back now from Lando. Isn't right up behind him anymore up at the front. I sense the pit stops will be coming through now for Igoro and for his teammate in behind him. So into the pits comes Igoro from the race lead, and we'll see how powerful this undercut is. Of course, Lando was able to gain a low track position, so you sense that maybe Igoro may be under better pressure from M Short. We'll see how this works. Then Ryan with a penalty. And again, a miserable race for the Red Bull and for England. Really having a tough time of it out there. You can see now as they all cruise through. Tsuko will surely emerge up in the front of the grid. He will then. They're going to be pretty close to each other. So Igoro actually had a nice enough outlap that he's going to remain in contact and well ahead of the group behind. And that's worked tremendously well. For those top two, they're still dominant at the front of the grid. They're matching ins coming out side by side with Gary, who runs around here in a turn one, burst off the road almost in turn two. And Maziez cuts in front. Gary with a penalty to his name. He ran it right around, but ultimately couldn't quite get through it. He's losing out to his teammate as it stands then. Not costing for Ireland, but costing for Gary. And maybe he's going to let Old School through as he tries to charge up through that order, but overtaking as is absolute tradition here at Suzuka. Very, very difficult to pull off. We're waiting now, I suspect, for the race leaders to come in, and MMA Slash is pushing for all of his worth to maybe use some soft tires to charge through. And the latter part of the race, he's low on the LRS, so he may come in early here, potentially, and try and get those tires off and push forward on those softs towards the end of this 25% race distance Japanese Grand Prix. So now MMA Slash rounding that final turn of the Castillo Triangle, dives to the pit lane, and does Nolan follow him in from behind? No, he stays out actually. Does the Red Bull. So Slash into the pit lane, nice and clean on the pit stop. Nolan Skivad staying out then. Looks like most of the medium runners are going to keep it going then. As now fresh stops going on. Where does MMA Slash emerge from that pit box? Tsuko, fastest lap. M Short just betting though from behind, and M Short now is breaking away from Lando. It's Cookie actually that's under pressure from Michael, trying to get through. Can't quite get through though, as now Slash getting up to speed. He's going to be so close, but Gary sweeps and run there, heading through turn one, but Slash is right there with him, and now surely the overtakes are going to come through then. Gary is going to have to work to stay that DRS range if he wants any chance of keeping hold of this position, because the AlphaTauri is right on his rear wing and searching for a way through whenever that opportunity is to present itself. So now Gary, Slash, heading in a down the line, still in formation. Slash with more grip, but again You can't really force a move here at Suzuka. You've got to be patient. You've got to wait for the opportunity to come your way rather than try to force it for yourself. So Slash holding firm 14th. Those opportunities are going to come to him throughout the second half of this race. Up at the front, let's see if we're going to see pit stops. I suspect it's going to be busy, and right with these medium runners glancing out with a penalty to further set back Malta. And really with these sections down the inside ski man with a late launch there to the Casio Triangle gets it stopped and turned in. They're battling for the pit lane entry here. And Nolan and ski man inside by side. Wow! And Nolan gets through in the end. Ski man had to get out of it. As now Suga moving past V-Mark side by side to the Casio Triangle. And now it goes on the inside line. There's contact and front leg flying off the Ferrari. That throws this race completely on its head. Vigoro trying to go down the gap. He's still running round the inside of V-Mark going through turn one. Can he go the long way round? No, he doesn't have the downforce, doesn't have the grip, and doesn't have the way round it. Now he's got M Short chasing him down. Cookie lets Matchy is through. He runs up into that 7th place and oversteer. Poor Cookie puts Michael right in the back of him. So Cookie struggling a little bit to keep pace in this race. Now his race pace hasn't quite been at the same level so far as what we saw in quali when he was up there with his two teammates. Now runs down in 8th place. As further up the road then M Short moving past Vigoro. Now that damage is really hindering him. Now has Lando chasing him down with a penalty to his name though. But Lando has a really good run, able to move through his now M Short down the inside of V-Mark, then pitched onto the apex. Can he find traction on the ends? And they're still side by side at 200R. McLaren can't quite get past Racing Point. Hitting a smooth curve. He is still trying it. Still lunging, but he's not quite close enough, and this is allowing Lando to get into this then. Iguro is still in range, but surely Lando will get that move done with the extra grip and downforce. He's going to have to his name, so he's right on the back of the Ferrari now. Is M Short now lining up towards 130R. The move's not going to come through now. Is he going to get through? Just like he did to Cookie earlier on in the race. He runs around the outside, but V-Mark is still fading in the Casio Triangle. Side by side through the exit. M Short gets it, but and Bailey to the pit lane he dives. And glides in as well. Suzuka now has a commanding lead at the front. And now M Short is under pressure. Igoro running round the outside at turn 1 then. And now Lando trying to follow through. And turn 1 gets forced off the road by M Short then. What a furious, frantic battle in this upper quarter of the field. Igoro somehow reclaims that second place, but he's going to be at a snail's pace. Going to this trying to get it through, but it's too futile. It is to no avail. And he has to just sit back and wait and hold these guys back. And Sugu pulling clear at the front end. And Igoro still fighting for all of his worth to maintain that second place. But M Short, Lando are right there with him, but there's no traffic now in their way. M Short, no dive down the inside line, but he's so close, actually tapping the rear wing of the Ferrari slightly, heading throughout the hairpin. But they just about manage to keep it in line and keep it clean. But look at Lando, he's got less ERS, so he's not got much to his name. Both these guys struggling then. Igoro has that advantage. But can he hold on with his slipstream now in order? Heading down this back straight. M Short now lining him up, tucked in the DRS. Is he going to run round the outside there? The slipstream now powering through. And to the outside in 130R. Surely not the long way round. It's brave, but it's beautiful. Wow, M Short cruising round and now Lando trying to follow through on the outside line. Can he run the long way round the Ferrari? They make contact. Sideways goes the AlphaTauri. They are still battling for the eggs, and they've been wheel to wheel caught it again. And now Mathieu trying to go down the middle of the pair of them. Lando gets in front, but now the Mercedes comes in and there's contact. Oh my word! Lando into the air, unbelievable, massive contact. Cookie round the outside of his team, he has damage now. It's all kicked off now, down the straight. My oh my, they came together. Lando went up. Igoro's damage now is too severe. Straight through goes Cookie up into the podium. It is all kicked off. Gary, the beneficiary, makes contact with Igoro, who is crawling through the set section now through Dunlop. Old school now on the inside. Now he's promoted, so all of a sudden Ireland have come to the fore. The contact is promoted Ireland. It's Heart Poland, it's Heart England. Now Slash to the inside line going through. Lando there well down the field. What on earth has gone on? Igoro having to let these guys through. Ski Man now diving in on Michael. Better contact, but the Raider will get it through in the 7th place, and all of a sudden Ireland are dominating the front of this race. Where on earth has this come from? That incident has completely thrown this race upside down, up on its head. And now you're seeing Haller down the outside of Vigor, going to have to get out of the way of all these guys. Nolan charging through, trying to salvage some points for England in a dire situation now. And now for the back of the field then, Lando going off and spearing off to the side. Lando, misery. I can't really make an opinion on that accident. Just so much went on in such a short period of time. It was almost impossible to evaluate. 3 laps to go now, and Gary now with Old School in behind him, and Old School is going to actually back off then and protect his teammate with MMA Slash, the real danger. Ski-Man charging in from behind as well, and you can see Old School struggling a little bit to get that nose in through turn 1. There's much more grip for Slash, but he can't get through at the moment. He has to be content in second place, keeping him out in 7th, also looking for a way to follow through. Up at the front, Suku, his lead has just been completely stretched up at the front, and he is looking at a double victory. Sensational driving from him all the way throughout. He's barely put a foot wrong, and he's headed for a race victory. Even a small mistake is going to not make any difference. Look at Ski-Man though, he's leading up Slash and almost into the back of him. Heading through as we got big yellow flags out there. Who's going off? It's in sector 1. I think that is Matchy Edge has made that mistake at the pit lane. Maybe there was contact with another car. But these 2 poles have slipped well down the field. They do have a double podium still going on, which is keeping them alive, and I dare I say it, keeping them in that champions bracket, which is all that matters necessarily. It doesn't really matter which order you're placing in. It looks like though Ireland may be overtalking the group as it stands. Even though they've not won either of the races, their sheer consistency from all of their drivers, and that's what it is. It's not necessarily about having the fastest driver in your team, it's about having the best performance from all of your drivers collectively, and Ireland have done just that. No mistakes, and 4 drivers inside the top 7. That is stellar. That is sensational. Brilliance from all these guys. Unfortunately, I think that incident has put a bit of a damper on this race. There's really not that much going on out there on the track. We do have Nolan battling with Michael, who's also dropped back a little bit from that incident now, with a bit of damage on that racing point. I do believe that running to the inside of Dunlop, brave from Nolan to make contact. There's wheel-to-wheel banging between them, and now Hannah going through on the inside, looking for 2 and 1, then towards Stein, and 1 can't get through. Nolan, that was a very, very aggressive move, and I'm not sure if Michael is going to be too happy with that one. And now I think there was even more damage then. So Michael really suffering. Ski-Man now moving through on Slash in the inside lane to make contact. Just about managed to keep it in a straight line. But Ski-Man moving through. And now Ireland, it's not 4 in the top 7. It's 4 in the top 6. Unbelievable. And Poland and Ireland are dominating the front of this race. England have 2 drivers inside the top 10. So do Malta. But it's not going to be enough to challenge these top 2, I suspect. So now coming through with just a lap to go, and Suku has a commanding lead now. 6 seconds clear. Absolutely marvellous, dominant stuff at the front of the race. And now we're going to see if these 2 Renaults are going to change hands then. Old School has been pretty content to just sit behind his teammate. He's played the team game throughout tonight. But look at Slash. Slash looking to try both, but he's boxed in there again. Old School playing the team game. And now round the inside Slash. It's going to go round. Almost makes contact with Ski-Man and now runs inside the top 5. Old School going to get through, but he is going to jump. Slash, as it stands at the moment, all penalties. And so Slash will hold on. And will have to try and push away to hold on, I should say, to that P6, but Steven in front can just control him. Gary with a penalty. He's not losing out though as it stands. It's Old School that's going to jump all these guys. Old School, in fact, looking at a 4th place in this race. After a relatively lowly qualifying position, you had to give credit to that. Fastest lap's being exchanged, Lando getting the better of it. He is going to score a fastest lap, but nevertheless, been a miserable second race after a first race that missed potential. Still was solid, but ultimately it wasn't what he wanted to be. He's not got what he needed to do out of this night, but one man certainly has, and that is Suku. Look at this display. Incidents have managed to fall in his favour, but nevertheless he has run rapid at the front of the grid, and now around the Casio Triangle with the final time. It is 2 for 2. Suku wins today for Poland, and an emphatic haul of points to take them forward. M Short again will get that second place. He had a really good night as well. He came out on top in that battle to the line. Cookie, much better race, gets third place. Another double Polish podium. And now over the line, Gary Skivan Slash. Old School jumps all of them. He gets fourth. And it is still 3 drivers of Ireland in the top 6. That is an incredible showing. Slash is 7th. Haller 8th, Nolan 9th, Michael 10th, Ryan is 11th, just in front of Mivako 12th, Glanza is 13th, just in front of Mark again, half a 10th covering them. Igoro losing out from that incident. In fact, the bottom 3 drivers all massively costed by that incident. Over the line, first Igoro, then Maciej, and then Lando rounding out the finishers for tonight. And that is going to be it for the racing. That is nearly taking my voice, not quite though, so I can kind of hold solace to that. And that was just over an hour of racing for tonight. We'll get some assurance investigations, I suspect, into that massive incident down the main straight. We'll see how that's going to unfold, but that is going to be it for tonight. And so we'll run it through the standings now. You can see there, Suko double victory, absolutely brilliant. M short second, and Cookie in third position. Out of the podium finishers, 4 of the 6 were from Poland. Such was their dominance at the front of the grid from tonight, and pace-wise, you can argue that they had the fastest team overall, but just a couple of incidents that went their way. Again, we'll see if the stewards are going to have any look at that. We're going to run through the results one final time for tonight with everything now. At last, all said and done. Sugo wins from M Short, second place. Cookie third, and it's Old School Gary Skivan, all for Ireland inside the top 6. Slash is 7th, leading England, but they had a really tough time of it here tonight. Haller is 8th with Nolan 9th, and Michael running at the top 10. Of course, every driver gets points finishing the race. Ryan is 11th, Mivako 12th, Glanza 13th, Mark 14th. Better race from also, and more consistency, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get them anywhere near the Champions Final. Igoro and Maciej in 15th and 16th. Lando in the end losing out with that incident down the main straight. And yes, I think that is going to be it for the racing here tonight. And I'm not sure of the points. I know the point system, but I'm not good enough at maths to do that on my head immediately, especially with Stuart's reports not out. But my tentative order for tonight will be Ireland, Poland, England, Malta, Belgium. I think that is how the order is going to set itself. I could be completely wrong, but I can pretty safely say that the advancing to the Champions second round is going to be Ireland and Poland. To the best of the rest bracket, it is going to be England and Malta, and into the knockout stage, I suspect is going to be Belgium, of course, down on numbers. Ultimately didn't go their way. I think we're going to end on a picture of Suzuka. How about that? Lobby has been a little bit weird tonight, but overall it's held up just about okay. And I think we can just about wrap this up for tonight. Thank you all very much for watching. Very sorry about the actually, I don't know what I'm sorry for. You guys should be the ones apologising. What is with that dislikes? I need to find out about that. What on earth has gone on there? But of course, I'm not being serious. Thank you all very much for watching. Been a great start to the event, and please make sure to tune in next week as the tournament will continue to evolve. So we'll see what teams from what groups are going to come to the fore and what teams are going to fall down in this fascinating event that is going to be taking place over the next few weeks. So keep an eye out. It's going to be every Friday evening at 7 and 8 p.m. UK time. So keep an eye out for the races coming out, because my oh my, it is going to be electric. But I think that's going to be it then for tonight. Thanks to all the drivers for competing, put on a great show. We'll see the point standings coming out, I suspect, very, very soon, within the next few days, and we're going to see where every team is going to line up for the future of the tournament. But I think that is just about everything said and done. Actually, I'm going to give some mentions here. Driver of the day obviously has to be Suko. Just didn't put a foot wrong. Had to fight for that Belgium win, but came back in spectacular fashion to win it. And, well, Suzuka was just dominant. Team of the day has to go to Ireland. I think that Poland were very unlucky in some of the races, but I also think that Ireland, actually, you could see that they were coordinating their drivers better than any other team. playing more team tactics, when I actually saw England, for example, actually battling out there on track. So Ireland really worked together well, and they've been rewarded with an emphatic haul of points, I'm sure, from tonight. But I think that's going to be it then for tonight. At last, I can put my voice to rest, and hopefully all of you enjoyed this stream. So, with everything said and done, thank you all very much for watching. Keep an eye out for next week, and with everything said and done, until next time, we'll see you later.